This is past cheating. This is scamming.
Yeah. No, it's scamming, it's cheating, it's all of that. It's sociopathic because he is telling everyone that he loves them.
Johan has been exposed. That nice guy act that he'd been putting on has now been well and truly shattered. No one believes him anymore. So now he's going on the attack.
Me importa lo que piensa el grupo de gente ahí. Me importa una Yo sé lo quien yo soy. Para el diablo después de ahí.
Johan has been pushed to his last straw. But before we see what sent him over the edge, let's first get some context. So when we last saw the pair, Danielle discovered that Johan had been cheating on her throughout their entire marriage. So when we join them today at the tell-all, the first question that Sean begins with is to ask them when they last saw each other. Now, surprisingly, the answer was only 2 weeks prior. They apparently met for dinner at Johan's family home. So, after everything that she found out, why is Danielle still dining there?
I value his mother, his sisters. They're really good people, and they deal with a lot of terrible men.
You can still have one with them. He just doesn't need to be.
They deal with a lot of terrible men. That's an interesting thing to say. What does she mean by that? Is she implying that other members of Johan's family have also acted in similar ways? Now, for his part, Johan tells the group that even though they're separated, they've made the decision to stay amicable. They want to keep the peace. But from what Danielle says next, it sounds like he is still getting something out of it.
I do it because his family is important to me, because I want to make sure that he's okay and he has what he needs. As we know, I maintain positive relationships with all of my exes, so I'm trying to keep the continuity.
Something about that doesn't quite add up, does it? It doesn't make sense that Danielle still wants to make sure Johan has everything he needs. Why would she do that after he cheated on her? They're separated. They're no longer together. Is this yet another example of Danielle's saviour complex? Her need to come in and act like the hero and try and save someone who really doesn't need to be saved? Well, the truth is, Danielle, this entire relationship hasn't really seen Johan as her equal. She's seen and treated him as someone who's dependent on her for money. And to be fair, that is exactly how Johan's been acting this entire time.
Tengo una esposa americana. Debería dar una vida de rey aquí. Me casé con una americana, entonces para quedarme aquí, para no tener nada, eso es como un cuento de terror.
I think it's really interesting that he called our relationship a horror story. One of the reasons why I put up with all the that he did was because our day-to-day was so positive.
Now, while we didn't get to see this side of their relationship, Danielle gives us some insight into how good the good times apparently were. She tells us about the morning walks to the beach, how the pair used to travel every other weekend, all on Danielle's dime, of course. In fact, she starts to get emotional talking about this side of their relationship. To her, Danielle believes that Johan threw away something really good in pursuit of money.
Now he has nothing. He has nothing. He's living in his parents' house with nothing. He spent all this time worrying about money, and he'll never have it. He'll never have it. And it makes me sad for him.
Danielle is really showing her privilege here. Now, while there's a very real case that Johan might be a narcissist, and don't worry, we'll get to that shortly, the truth is, he's spent his entire life worrying about money. It's that worry about money that led to him marrying Danielle in the first place. Let's not kid ourselves otherwise. But Johan does know the struggle that comes with not having that money. That's precisely why, as Danielle says, he spends so much time worrying about money. That's why he has the $sign tattooed on his arm. Now, does any of that excuse Johan's behaviour? No, it doesn't. But it does make his actions a little more understandable.
Dios la ayuda y consigue una esposa americana porque quiere salir adelante, quiere cambiar su estilo de vida.
Look, the truth is, all this time, Danielle has been fooling herself. She's chosen to see what she wants to see. She was the one that plucked Johan out of his regular life, promised him the world, but then expected him to act like a regular partner. but he's never been a regular partner. Like, Johan explains how Danielle's expectation that he should pay half of the rent was completely inconsiderate given that his family were at home not sure if they could even afford food. How can she expect me to pay 60,000 pesos to live in a luxury apartment when my family can't even pay for food, he asks. But the problem is, Danielle calls BS on all that Johan's just said.
Every single woman in his family works 3 jobs. They are like hustlers. And the fact that he's like, my family doesn't have money to eat, that's bull. They have plenty of money. It's him.
Once again, Danielle is showing a lot of respect to the women in Johan's household. From the sounds of it, Johan's aversion to working seems to be unique to him. While the rest of his family are out trying to hustle a buck, he's spent the last half a year or more unemployed, and he blames Danielle for that. He says that the reason he had to give up his job in the hotel is because Danielle was apparently very jealous, and so to prevent him from being around other women, she made him an offer, he says.
Yo dejé mi trabajo en el hotel por Danielle. Ella me dijo, tú puedes quedarte en la casa, yo puedo trabajar, para mí no hay problema. Ella me lo dijo, de su boca.
Now, this isn't the first time that Johan's claimed Danielle told him he didn't need to work. So, is it true? Well, given how religious we know Johan is, given he's just sworn to God and sworn on his own mother, I'm inclined to believe him. I think it says a lot that Danielle herself even admitted in the past that maybe Johan misunderstood her.
Es posible yo explico una cosa y tú no entiendes y tú piensas yo dice una otra cosa. Eso es posible.
Right, so that's what Danielle had previously told us. She'd earlier in the season acknowledged that there was a possibility that Johan misunderstood. But today, at the tell-all, it seems like she's totally changed her tune.
There is no way in hell that this girl ever said, don't worry, son, you can stay home and do nothing and I'll work to take care of you. No one who knows me would ever think that I would say something like that. That's not a me thing.
Now, while we will never know what these two promised each other behind closed doors when the cameras weren't rolling, at the end of the day, regardless of the promises, Johan's actions, Johan's cheating was inexcusable. Sure, Danielle is a nightmare, we all know it, but that doesn't excuse the way he treated her. That didn't give him the right to cheat on her, especially not in the spectacular way that he's gone about it.
The other day, a woman wrote to me on social media and told me that she has been in a relationship with my husband for 2 years, since a month before we got married.
There was no reason for him to continue in this relationship, but he wanted cash from her, he wanted cash from me, he wanted cash from every one of these women that he reached out to because he was collecting money. Don't ask me where it is.
Now, Danielle claims that not only did Johan begin cheating on her before they got married, but apparently he's also been reaching out to lots of different women, establishing relationships with them, and asking them all for money. At the time when filming was taking place, Danielle said that she knew of 6 other women that Johan had been talking to. But ever since, that number has significantly risen.
How many women, since you two have been together, do you think Johan has physically hooked up with?
Probably close to like 50 or 60.
Now, just to clarify, Danielle has no evidence that Johan's physically hooked up with these other women. The number she stated has come from her own online research, partially helped by women who have reached out to her. But with numbers like that, and from what Danielle claims Johan's been saying to these women, this starts to become much more than just cheating.
Multiple women that he's reached out, come see me, I want to see you, I love you. Like, he has multiple, even now.
Danielle claims that Johan has convinced all of these women that they're the only ones in his life. He's using them all, she says. But Johan isn't just gonna let her expose him like that. So he jumps to his own defense. He says that Danielle has been paying all of these women to say what they've said. It's an interesting defense. Now, do I believe him? Honestly, no. It comes across as quite desperate. He's clutching at straws.
Ya buscó todas las mujeres de mis redes sociales, le mandó solicitud, ya se puso puso a hablar con ella y decir, mira, Johan, y esto, ¿qué pasó así? Yo no sé si le dio dinero o qué.
Now, remember earlier when I said that Johan might be a narcissist? Well, this is what I meant. To have the ability to cheat on Danielle with this many other women, to have zero remorse about it, to completely deny it when there's literally receipts proving it, and then to turn around and try and blame it on her, well, that reeks of narcissism. But what's really interesting is Johan's reason for why Danielle would be doing this.
Ella fue que dañó la relación al principio con el tema de su ex. Ahora ella quiere sacar todo eso ahí porque la que le embarró fue ella. Ahora ella quiere limpiar su nombre, hacerse la Santa Danielle.
We could all see, we all knew at the time just how much of a negative impact Danielle bringing her ex into their marriage had on Johan. He blames that for ruining their relationship, and he says that everything Danielle is now saying about him and all of these cheating accusations are just her attempt to save face because she's still friends with her ex. It's clear just how much that Talon situation hurt Johan's pride, and if narcissists have one quality, it's being far too proud. Johan's too proud to admit that he did anything wrong. It's all Danielle's fault.
Yo no le pegué cuerno a Danielle en ningún momento de nuestra relación. Tampoco eso es mentira de que yo le saqué un montón de dinero a mujeres.
Danielle has screenshots sent to her by other women who have received messages from Johan. She has times and dates. She has all the receipts. Yet Johan won't admit to doing any wrong. But he's clearly not thinking through his excuses properly, because one vital thing that Johan seems to have overlooked is that Danielle still has access to all the DMs in his social media accounts.
I created his Instagram account. He doesn't know how to get in on his Instagram account, so he doesn't have that access to change the password. It's like a big ordeal because it was attached to an old phone.
Wow. So Danielle has been snooping through all of the messages he's received on Instagram. Is that ethical of her to read his messages? No, but it's really hard to hate on her for that. I think most people in her shoes would do exactly the same thing. I mean, she's searching for evidence that her husband has cheated, and this is the golden ticket. She's not going to pass up that opportunity. Now, you might think that at this point, nothing else would shock us, but you'd be wrong. You see, Johan then reveals that he's been left in debt by Danielle because nothing's ever his fault, right?
You're in debt because you took a $10,000 loan after I left you. I saw the loan. I saw the date. I saw it. You're saying that you're in debt because of me. You're in debt because you don't have me anymore.
Johan blames Danielle for the loan. He claims it's her fault that he needed to take it out because when they separated, she left him with problems. Now, conveniently, he doesn't go into what problems she left him with that would necessitate a $10,000 loan. But get this, it then takes a strange turn because Johan then claims he has proof that Danielle's been talking shit about him online.
Mira cómo me tiene en las redes, difamado. Mira.
I can explain.
So it turns out Danielle went on a Facebook page made specifically for women who think they're being cheated on by their partners in the DR, and she made a post about Johan. Not surprisingly, Johan finds that very offensive. He claims it's defamation, and Danielle herself admits she probably could have handled that better. But, importantly, that post and the reason she put it up seems to have been vindicated.
After that post, more women reached out to me and were like, hey, yeah, he did. So it was an effective strategy. It just probably was a little bit petty. So I apologize for that.
The cast all quickly come to Danielle's defence here. They tell her she shouldn't feel bad for putting up that post, and I'm inclined to agree with them. This is no longer just a personal matter between the two of them. I mean, Johan's been tricking other women into giving him money. He's pretending to be in relationships with them. Danielle's right for ringing the alarm.
This is past cheating. This is scamming.
Yeah, no, it's scamming, it's cheating, it's all of that. It's sociopathic because he is telling everyone that he loves them.
Everyone has now turned on Johan, including Armando, who claims he's been on Johan's side for their entire journey. He politely and diplomatically asks Johan whether he sees what everyone else is seeing. That Johan's behaviour comes across like he's been using Danielle. And that is where Johan finally loses his cool.
Me importa lo que piensa el grupo de gente ahí. Me importa una Yo sé lo quien yo soy. Para el diablo después de ahí.
For a long time, Danielle was the villain in this relationship, but that was until Johan's mask dropped. Now, I think there can be no doubt that Johan is far more toxic, but in his own words, he doesn't care. You can all go to hell, and I think that attitude says a lot.